Hello, good morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another NerdTube episode review. Tonight we have the Council of Trekkies reviewing the season finale of Star Trek The Lower Decks. This is Season 3, Episode 10, The Stars at Night. I am joined by, to my right, the CEO of NerdTube. We've got him covering Prodigy after we go through Lower Decks tonight on this double billing. How are you this evening, sir?
Fine, thank you. Live long and prosper. Just having a little technical issue, so I'll quickly deal with that while you introduce everyone else.
Okay. Below you is Cousin Cheeto. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about both Lower Decks and Prodigy. Got some thoughts here. So
All right. We're excited to hear your thoughts, man. That's a lot to unpack this week. Is on Lower Decks. I don't know about Prodigy. I'll be passing the baton to Zam for that, but just a lot to unpack this week. To your left is Commodore Boone. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm freezing my keister off, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm driving home right now. That's why the camera kind of flopping around.
Well, thanks for joining us. That's some dedication.
Yeah,
Always
always here, always here.
Well, we appreciate it. Since there is a lot to cover this week, we're just going to hop right to it. We start with Ransom's log. The Cerritos is in for repairs, and the captain gets called to a meeting at Starfleet headquarters where she is informed that due to her failure on the mission for Operation Flyby, the entire California class of ships is going to get shuttered and decommissioned in favor of the Admiral's Texas class droid ships.
Oh.
Yes,
I've already
Cheeto.
got to interject. So I'm sorry, but this is the most asinine thing I have ever seen on a Star Trek episode.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
In what universe? And I know it's the Lower Decks universe apparently now,
Oh,
but in what universe does Starfleet opt out for I don't know, alien life exploration. I don't want to say just human life because obviously there's more than humans, but like actual people doing exploration for a drone. Like I can understand if they're like, hey, we're gonna put the like we're gonna use these Texas classes for like patrols or neutral zone patrols, or whatever. That's fine. But it's like actual second contact when you have first contact and then you have follow up. Like you could tell even in this episode, like when they were doing the race, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but these people wanted to interact with the Federation people. Like they wanted to talk to them, and I know that was the point of the episode. But I feel like a council of like Starfleet admirals would not be this stupid.
No, not at all.
Okay, so anyway, go ahead, Mage. I had to get that off my chest.
I want to agree. I just want to second that as well. Like, you can't be doing second contact. I mean, like, it is second contact. Remember, it's not first. So first contact is just about making initial contact with people. But even with second contact, you still need to make contact with people. You can't just
diplomacy.
say, "Here we go. We're just going to dump some fucking shit on your planet and have a good time." You know what I mean? So yeah. I just want to quickly say hello to Cara Hughes, Daniel Vance, Ryan Geralds. Thank you very much for joining the stream. I'll be just posting your stuff up as we talk.
We missed. Where'd Boone go?
He'll be back.
No, so yeah, with that bit of that happened. We get our credit sequence. Afterwards, Boimler hears the rumor of what's going to happen. He comes to inform the lower deckers that remain. Rutherford gets really interested in the drone ship AI code, and Boimler starts doing some impressions and offends Shax. He chases after him. Then we cut to Mariner living her best life as an archaeo adventurer with her friend from the Archaeology Guild. They're having fun, but she gets mistrustful of kind of how they're funded. So at that point, we've kind of got all 4 of our story beats for the week kind of rolling.
Boone, just move your mic down a little bit. We can hear you breathing from your nose. Okie dokes. Okay.
Sorry.
No problem. The joke about the uniform with 4, what the hell's that word?
Epaulettes.
Is what I truly hate about this show. I think the interference is that once you get bummed upstairs, you lose touch with the human side of things. I agree with you, actually. That's actually a good point of things. Because they become pencil pushers and they forget what it's like to be explorers.
Yeah, maybe that's why we get so many of these, what the captain later calls, I'm forgetting the term, but, the, bad intended bad guy admirals.
Maybe bad admiral.
Yeah, I like that. But I mean, they do mention that a bit later on in the episode, but that comment was hilarious.
That was one of the better jokes in the episode.
It is weird because admirals are either bad guys or incompetent. Very rarely do we get a competent good guy admiral. More so on the...
No, I severely disagree with you, Admiral
Really?
Ross. He was Admiral Ross.
Anyone
in Deep
else?
Space Nine.
Admiral Ross is the exception that proves the rule.
So very rarely I was correct. Very rarely.
Whatever.
Yeah. So yeah. Admirals, yeah. Like,
he got lucky. He got lucky.
Yeah.
No, Admiral Ross was like the best.
Technically correct.
But you're right about. You're right about most of them because Admiral Kirk was pretty terrible too. I mean, come on.
And Admiral Picard. Yeah.
Yeah, Admiral Picard.
And Admiral Janeway as well. We'll get to that a bit later.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
Yeah.
This is where we get to the part where there's another meeting and the captain challenges Buenamigo's class of Texas drone ships to a mission race where they go on a tour of second contact missions, and whichever one completes it first will be the type of ship that remains in service. Somehow, once again, the admirals go along with this kind of superfluous and exaggerated kind of development for the Star Trek universe.
By the way, Freeman just made this up on a whim. Like, we're gonna have a second contact standoff or race or some shit like that, and she just made it up as she went along, so to speak, which was highly amusing. Kirk does realize that being admiral takes away from his best life. I think for a lot of them as well. If you guys have ever seen Top Gun Maverick, the reason why Tom Cruise's character remained a captain and could have even been an admiral by now at his age is that he wanted to keep being a pilot, and so that's why he stayed as a captain, even though he should have been promoted. But anyway,
even Admiral Kirk told Captain Picard, well, not Admiral Kirk, was he admiral at that point?
He was.
He
might have been.
He was captain.
Yeah, in Generations, he was still a captain. Like, he didn't get re-promoted back to admiral eventually.
He never got re-promoted, did he? He once he got demoted, he remained captain to his death.
Kirk did tell him. He said, "Don't ever let them take that chair away from you." And what did he do?
Yes.
He let him.
Took the chair away. He says, "Stay in that captain's chair. You can make a difference." But what did he do?
To Kirk either, though.
Yeah.
What he did was he went into the Nexus.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Mage. I'm sorry.
In the Nexus, he lives forever. That's what they say.
Sam, you got that Kara comment, or should I get it?
Yeah, okay. I watched this and thought, what does Buenamigo have over admirals that, and what info does he have? I'm not sure if he had anything on them. If I have, then please correct me. But he's got this project and he's ambitious about it. And obviously, when we see the flashbacks with Rutherford and stuff, which I'm sorry if I'm jumping ahead, but it all comes into play. Like, he's been wanting this for a long time, and will turn evil with exactly. He's one admiral promotion away from being evil, running us over in his van. All right.
Wow. Already then.
So Upon this getting agreed to, the captain orders the senior staff to snap their departments into shape, which they do, and we get a couple of 3 key little scenes during this. One is Tindy talking to Miglamo about, continuing the science officer training. Boimler trying to apologize to Shax, but making it worse. And
Oh.
Rutherford being even more intrigued by this code and digging deeper into it. It's just
Never pick on Shaq. Come on. I mean, you got to eject the warp core someday. Yet to come.
Shaq running away crying was I was laughing so much. I was laughing so much because like here's this guy, he's big and strong, wants to he's basically like a Klingon version of a Bajoran. You know what I mean? He loves to fight and all of that sort of stuff. He says he's dependable.
Got a huge heart.
He's got but he's also like he doesn't like it when his friends like let him down to a degree. Like it hurts him. But he's always. I think it's because he's always he will be there for you. So he gets worried that when somebody's not there for them, and it broke his heart. Hearing Boimler mock him, and that was absolutely hilarious. Him running away, crying his ass off. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. And yes, we are watching a real show. And hopefully, you'll be joining us tomorrow for Star Wars: Tales of the Jedi. But that's just a shameless plug there. So
I agree with you, Dan.
And cheers at Ginger Greek.
Oh no. We'll get into that at final thoughts, but I agree with Daniel Vance.
Naturally.
Don't know what that means, but okay. The race begins. The Cerritos kind of has the lead at first, and they're making good headway, but Tindy thinks she's discovered life on the deserted planet where they're trying to set up an outpost, and we end up with the Cerritos falling behind because it's a false alarm, and they don't make it to the final planet before it phases back out of touch with the rest of the galaxy.
Instantly, I thought to myself, "That's it." Like, for me, the moment they realized that there was sentient life on that planet, the second planet they were on, I thought, "That's it." They've won, regardless of them not being able to reach the finishing line, because the drone ship can't do what they just did there. They acknowledged, and for me, that was so obvious. And I'm very happy that it only took a few minutes for Freeman figured it out in 10 forward. But it was so fucking obvious to me. I'm very glad Freeman jumped on that, and that was obviously always going to make the drone ships a loser. So Cara Hughes says Daniel Vance, no, I like reveal. I forget it takes Robert for a while to come to terms with his memory wipe. Yeah, it was okay. I thought maybe they'll be doing. I thought they would have stretched out that story until next season, but in a way, it's good that they kind of wrapped up this season as well.
I was about to say they've been. I mean, they started that last season, so I mean, I'm kind of glad they wrapped it up this season. Not. I agree, it's been a little lackluster, but I'm glad they wrapped it up this season, and maybe if they want to expand on it next season a little bit more. But I mean, Alamigo's dead, so I mean, and I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead, but
that's fine.
Is that a callback to the crystalline planet? You gotta remind me what the crystalline planet is.
There was a planet in TNG. No, there was a planet in TNG with crystals that were actually sentient, and they ended up figuring out a way to communicate with them.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Really? I can't fucking remember.
I thought it had just communications
so fast or something. Okay. All right.
So yeah, like you said, Zam, the captain, on hearing Tindy kind of make a remark, figures out that that's something that they can use to point out the superiority of a manned crew, and also calls foul of a prime directive violation of them not checking to see if they were interfering with undeveloped sentient life. On getting Rutherford, has his reveal. Buen Amigo was the one who was in charge of the project that he was working on, which is apparently the Texas class ships, and had his memories erased. Freeman and Rutherford kind of confront Alito with this information, Buen Amigo with this information, and he activates the AI on the Alito, which proceeds to go full badgy and starts destroying the ship or the starbase and Alito and Buenamigo.
Putting big old holes and dents in a big old starbase. Wow.
Yeah, and I'm thinking to myself, the whole time I was watching all this, I think to myself, Tito's gonna probably love this fucking episode. The pew pews are in full effect.
Oh yeah. Pew pew Sancho, man. Pew
Here's
pew
my question.
torpedoes.
So if you've played any kind of Star Trek game like Star Trek Armada, Star Trek Birth of the Federation, any type of game like that, you know that a starbase is not to be trifled with. So my question is, how does this dinky Texas class, which is like a warship in its own right, how is it able to take on and destroy a starbase like this, even if it has two? No, you guys might be surprised. Let's keep moving. That is a question I would like answered. This is a starbase
sneak attack.
I was thinking the same thing, Cheeto.
The most up-to-date technology around, like that starbase could be 50, 60, even 100 years old. You know, whilst
but Star Trek or the Starfleet is always upgrading their systems. They're always like, just because the structures are like, just
Right.
The thing about Starfleet is that a lot of their compartments and stuff like that are interchangeable and upgradable. That's why they made them the way they do, so that they can keep upgrading, so that they can last for 100 years. It's not like it's like refurbishing an old car. If you had an unlimited budget to refurbish a car every year or every 5 years, you would do it. Like, if money's not an issue, we could keep refurbishing like cars, buildings, bridges, everything. So the thing about Starfleet is that they do that. They upgrade things so often that even though it looks the same that's why you still see this is the reason they say you can still see Excelsior class, Oberth class, Miranda class in the Dominion Wars, because all these ships have been upgraded with the most state-of-the-art technology. They just, they just have switched the parts in and out. They're compatible.
If the ships on the main shows are getting retrofits, then why wouldn't the rest of the fleet?
They did the same thing with the Enterprise. They did the same thing with the TOS Enterprise. I mean, they retrofitted it, and it looked a bit the same. But yeah, they replaced out the nacelles. They replaced out the scanner dish.
But it was this is like a brand new thing from scratch, isn't it? Like, it's not like, like some of these, the Starbase will still have certain parts of it that will always remain as an old structure, whilst this particular ship is brand new, and in a way it could be designed differently because it doesn't require sentient life to be on it.
It was also inside the range of its shields, probably.
So in a way, maybe you could have more like things to. I mean, I'm obviously doing sci-fi speculation here, but you could have it designed in a way that the defenses of that ship could be harbored in a way that would only work if the ship had no sentient life on it. So
doesn't have to power life support, lighting, environmental controls, none of that to worry about powering. But
just a few comments here.
Absolutely.
That's I did like the fact that Captain Freeman isn't trying to make herself look fantastic. She's not that bad. And commanding officer, obviously a lot of this episode was a continuation from last week as well, once the journalists leaked all their information, and the Cerritos looked like a bunch of incompetent idiots. And obviously Freeman being at the top of the food chain, obviously had to bear the brunt of that. I think Prodigy might have helped answer some of that in the season opener. AI is more powerful than you think. I agree, Daniel Vance. And ran by humans might hesitate to fire on Starfleet craft regardless. I agree with that too. Daniel Vance, what I want to know is, why is all the AI has daddy issues? Because it's AI. I mean, if you guys ever read the Frank Herbert Dune books, they stopped creating AI technology because they actually had a war against AI. So all the technology they have in Dune is technology without artificial intelligence. Daniel Vance, I thought that was because the protostar itself is a weapon. Oh, we're going into Prodigy now. We'll talk about that a little bit later. All right.
I want to touch on one of Kara's comments when she said that she thinks that the captain's a fine commanding officer. I think that
This one
Captain
here?
Freeman. Yes. I think the captain really stepped up this week and showed
Yes,
a
she
lot
did.
more maturity and like acted more like an actual Starfleet commanding officer than the kind of caricature type character we've typically been presented with when it comes to her. So I'm not sure if this is going to be permanent growth or if it's just the necessity of this one episode to have her get shit done. But I liked it.
Well, I just want to say, Cara here, like female AI is actually better because we saw the Discovery, the AI they have has like a female vibe about it, and that AI seems to be very mothersome and very caring for its crew, whilst male sounding AI, which we've seen plenty of in this show, by the way, we've seen.
But on Disco specifically, Control, and that was kind of like a foil. They were foiled to each other's as AI.
Yeah, it just seems that I think female AI is good, male AI is bad. I don't say that in any misogynistic way whatsoever. I just think that's how it is, and I'm totally fine by that. All right.
So we cut to Mariner finding out that the Cerritos is in trouble, and she insists on rushing to the rescue, even to the point of her partner having the phaser pointed to her.
We did miss out on some stuff as well, because initially when it came to them doing their Indiana Jones space routine, Mariner was suspicious of how they're funding it.
Did I skip the part where they find out, where she does the snooping and finds out that Jean-Luc was the one that was their benefactor?
Admiral Picard.
Because it's a very small universe we live in, so it has to be fucking Jean-Luc.
I agree with you. It does make the universe seem small, but it makes sense because of Jean-Luc's very extensive archaeological background.
And something that's well established.
I agree that there are other archaeologists out there, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, it tracks, No.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Indiana Jones, so yeah, I like the Raiders beginning as well. I really hope Indiana Jones 5 is not shit. I'm praying to God, even though I don't believe in it. Ryan Gerald's exception to the male AI thing, Poe, but he is in Altered Carbon, laugh out loud, so neither here nor there.
Home sweet home.
In Altered Carbon. Oh, okay, I've seen Altered Carbon, but yeah, fair enough. Oh yeah, we're talking about the hotel manager who looks a bit like Michael Sheen. You know what you're on about? Yeah, he was pretty cool. I mean, there is good male AI. I mean, look at Kit from Knight Rider, for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? There is good male AI, but there's also a lot of bad ones. Anyway.
So a big impressive ship. I'm not sure of the class. Cheeto, do you know what class of ship that was that shows up at this point to save the day?
With the Sovereign class, the one that came in and took a beating from the three
that gets instantly wrecked, pretty much.
Oh, okay, that was a Sovereign class, like the Enterprise
class.
E.
Okay.
Yeah.
I knew it looked like the Enterprise E, but I couldn't remember the name of the
all
class.
These starships as well. Come on, Cheeto, you must have been shooting your load. You know what I mean? Like California class.
We'll get into that in a second. Keep going. We'll get into that in a second. Oh, please, get there. There.
So the captain uses Rutherford to try to taunt the Alito after it's very obvious that it's just going to keep wrecking this other ship and the starbase. But after this works, the Cerritos can't get away. And while everybody is shouting out different ideas of how to, save their hides, Shax, of course, at the beginning suggested eject the warp core, just like Boimler's joke. But Boimler ends up yelling, "Shut up, everyone! Listen to Shax," and they eject the warp core, and they do it. It hurtles them out of warp, but it blows up like a mine and takes out all of the Texas class except for the Alito, which somehow survives.
Yeah, I'm gonna get to my bugbear in a minute, in a second.
2 was destroyed. One still survived.
Yeah.
Yep. The Alito.
One quick comment from Vance here. The USS Van Citters was a reference to John Dodge Van Citters, the developer of Starfleet Operations Manual supplement to Star Trek role-playing games. I almost called him Van Clitters. Anyway, all right.
There you go.
The captain's calling for them to abandon ship after, the Alito is, just continuing to rip them to shreds with its advanced weaponry. But then you get a hail from Mariner saying to belay the order. She comes in, and she's not by herself trying to save the day. She has brought the entire contingency of the California class in Starfleet.
I got all emotional, by the way. Was I the only person getting all emotional?
I liked it. I thought it was
a
good moment.
I wanted to start crying in happiness.
I loved it.
Such a great moment.
It was a good moment, but it is contrived. Like, how logistically can you get them all there at the same time, and how could they get permission to do this? But it's the Lower Decks universe.
Yeah,
no. Like they're like, it's all the California classes. Oh, because all the California classes are right around this start.
Here we go.
They all show up at the same time. Like, and then just happen to grab them. I'm like, no, this is
you make a good point.
There's a practicality. Look, you're right. Okay, so this episode of Lower Decks for me was good as a bottle episode of Lower Decks, as soft canon. Like, it is not completely canon. The logistics sometimes don't make sense. But if you want to put this in the Star Trek universe, there's so many stupid logistical issues wrong with this, like practicality issues with this episode. Why are the admirals being stupid? Why do we want to take away second contact from an actual ship? I understand upgrading the California class to a different ship, but why make it automated? How did all of those California class make it there at the same time? Why is Shax crying? I mean, I thought it was funny, but why is he crying? There's a practicality in this episode. Right. They just took the entire thing and threw it out the window. I'm like, I cannot rationalize it. As I said, as a Lower Decks episode, it was pretty good. The acting was good. The voice acting was good. Music was good. Imagery was good. Pew-pews were good.
It was great. But I liked it.
But as a practicality sense, I have to take many, many, many points away.
Look, for me, what bugged me the most is that why does every fucking ship is named after a goddamn place in America?
No, it's named California class. Every ship.
No, California class. But you mentioned like the names of the ships.
Yeah,
all had like
we're all
American
places
towns.
in California.
They're all places in California.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
All the Texas class were named after cities in Texas.
Stop being so fucking American. It's like the WWE. They call themselves the World Wrestling Entertainment, but they're fucking waving that flag of patriotism, and everyone else outside of America is a bad guy. It really started pissing me. Stop calling yourself World Wrestling Entertainment. Call yourself American Entertainment. Wrestling.
Yeah, call yourself American Entertainment. America.
Call yourself. Don't call yourself Starfleet. Call yourself American.
Yeah.
Everything's fucking British, American. Your aliens are fucking American with American accents. You know what I mean?
Colonial England Wrestling Federation.
It doesn't feel universal enough. Stuff like that. As somebody who's not American, gets really bugged by that shit because you guys are in your own country. You don't realize how stupid it is when you hear it when somebody who's not American sees that shit. It's fucking ridiculous. You're supposed. That's why when in Picard season 1 when Riker was on the Zhang-Ji or whatever the name of that fucking thing was called, that's really cool. You're naming it after something which is not fucking from America. You know what I mean?
There's very few ships in Starfleet that have a name of a place that's not in America. You've got
and very few aliens in Star Trek that has not fucking got American accents. So yeah, please sort that. At least that's one good thing I give about Star Wars. They fucking mix up the accents. Obviously not with Andor. Everyone's fucking British, for fuck's sake. And even that bugs me. I was telling you that yesterday. Even that was bugging me. Everyone's fucking British. You know what I mean? So like mix it up. Like, make some accents. Create some accents. Intertwine them. You know what I mean? Make a posh Jamaican accent. I don't know. Make it something like this. Make something different. Like it's a real bugbear. You talk about your bugbears, Cheeto. This is my fucking bugbear. It fucking pisses me off. Anyway, I'm sorry.
It's all good. So after all the Cali class ships arrive inexplicably at the same time, there's a pretty cool pew pew sequence where they collectively destroy the Alito, saving the day. Afterwards, we get Mariner reuniting with everyone first Lower Deckers, then her mom afterwards. Then we get our season 4 setups. Tavana from the or Talin from the episode, I want to say it's season 1 episode of Lower Decks, where it shows us the lives of a bunch of different Lower Deckers on other ships, like Klingon ship and the Vulcan ship. She's going to be with Tindy in the science officer training class. Miglamo tells her.
A recurring character next season, you think?
I believe so. Yeah, that's my thoughts.
I don't think super recurring though. Maybe like
1 or 2,
like
like
Jennifer. I think like Jennifer wasn't in every episode, but she was in a good couple episodes, like 4 or 5, I think.
I'm thinking of that alien who likes to talk in phrases. That particular species.
She's looking.
Marion.
I think the one who's like.
And she's looking for a quiet space.
The Tamarian, yes.
Yeah, the Tamarian.
Yeah. So let me just quickly go through some comments here. We'll start with this one. Ryan Gerald says, "I gave it an 8 for wrapping up various story threads fairly neatly. Did feel contrived at times, but honestly, most things
there you go
with Trek. So
there you go.
With me.
Also, if you haven't, the poll's up. Go ahead and vote in the poll, baby. We want to hear what your number on the episode's going to be.
Oh, we know. At Ryan Gerald's, I sometimes wonder if there's actually a perfect Star Trek episode from any series. Thoughts? There's a lot of good Star Trek episodes. There really are.
He's going to say Sarek.
Okay.
TNG
Anything
episode
centered around Picard, laugh out loud. What did that Zam guy say? I can't understand his accent. Okay, the flute guy life.
The inner light.
Well, Zam, what bugs more than anything else is how all the villains have a. Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't. Look,
I mean, definitely don't watch
British accent.
Evil.
Yeah, we're all evil. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Zam, you're outnumbered
today.
America!
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least they explained why.
Yeah, and remember, Zam
in an English accent. You know, it took them 30 years, but sorry, Commodore.
And you got to remember one thing. Zam always said, if he's going to be in a fan film, he's got to be the bad guy. Remember that?
Yeah, I did say that. I made sure I told you, and I told Vance that I want to be, and he made me the bad guy in his fan film. So yeah, being a bad guy is fun. Perfect. So this one, a unique way to track American racism is to go back and watch action movies for their villains, especially if they were considered terrorists. Yeah. I know. I mean, like even our friend Ginger, he brought up this trailer for the opioid epidemic, and he made some good points. I'll have to look at that his post again on Facebook, but he made some good points about that. Perfect is the errand of mercy, but I've always loved. You know what? There's one episode on Voyager I liked a lot. It was the one where the ship was split into different timelines.
I knew you were gonna say that episode.
I love that. I don't know. There's something really good about that. I just love it. Yeah, I just love that episode.
I mean,
and,
it's okay.
It's a Chakotay episode, and like
I don't mind that, but it's a very 100th episode vibe. I think that was the 100th episode of Voyager, possibly. But it's really definitely got a 100th episode vibe.
Probably.
It's like, all the time, like all these different major points in Voyager's history, we're looking back on the past 99 episodes. You know, going back to like the Kazon.
Yep. It's done well though. It's done really well because of the fractures of the thingy, and you know, I really like
Big
that.
Bug.
You know, so, yeah, that was, you know. So, but anyway, I'll have to think about this because there are some. The TNG and DS9 episodes I'd like to mention as well, but that's one of my favorite episodes in Voyager. Anyways, I'm sorry. Continue, please, Mage.
No, that's fine. I will decide. I've got to think on it more, but I will post my perfect episode in the comments at a later date, probably tomorrow.
God, that would be a whole day for me to try to figure out what the
exactly. Why I need till tomorrow, brother.
Well, are we saying the perfect episode, or are we like which
perfect
could be several
us.
episodes? Well, no, that's what I mean. Like, but what's the perfect episode? There could be multiple. I mean, for Commodore Boone, he's got like 12. I mean, he gives 10s out of 10s to a lot of things.
Mike was
But-
correct though. Sarek is my favorite episode by
Yeah.
far. Sarek or Sarek?
Sarek.
Is that how you say it?
Spock's dad.
Yeah, I thought it was Sarek.
It's
No,
Sarek.
Sarek is Kirstie Alley from fucking thingy.
Ryan
Yeah, I
Nesbitt.
apologize. Yeah, of TNG that is Mage. I mean, yeah. We get you, man. We get you. All right.
So after Mariner reunites with her mother, she gets reinstated into Starfleet, wrapping that up way too quickly. And she gets assigned as Ransom Shadow. She is going to get trained by him. And that kind of
Yeah.
completes our season 4 setup at the end of this season finale episode. Let's do overall thoughts and rankings at the same time. We'll start with you, Zane.
Well,
Captain,
I just wanna
please
say
no.
that wrap up at the end was it does come across as quick, but at the same time, we are talking about a misunderstanding. Everyone wants things to get back to normal again, and we're and so I can understand it in that particular sense of just being resolved a lot quicker. So I'm totally fine with that. Regarding this episode, I'm giving this. I'm close to giving this a 10, but I mentioned my bugbears, so it's going to get a 9 for me. But those bugbears are not that big
That's
a
good.
deal. But it's just those bugbears I mentioned. It's just years of Star Trek doing what they've been doing, which is bugbearing me. Like, your fucking country is like 5% of the
Look at him.
population of Earth, and yet everyone on Starfleet seems to be fucking American. So like all of these, everything seems to be centered around your country. Like when we go to Earth, it's always fucking San Francisco. Why don't we go to another fucking? Why can't we go to Mongolia?
New Orleans.
How about Mongolia? You know what I mean? What about Uganda? You know what I mean? Starbase in Uganda. Those are other countries, by the way. But yeah,
I know.
Ohio.
sorry.
Chateau Picard's in France.
Yeah.
I bet that
What
really
about- what-
bugs
yeah,
you.
maybe-
It's France.
No, I
Yeah.
don't mind that. That's good. That's good. My thing with Chateau Picard in France was that fucking chateau was left deserted, and you would think to yourself, no way. There's so much in that fucking chateau. They would have stolen everything in there, or there'd be some squatters living in there, or some shit like that. So, anyways, yeah. So those have been my overall bugbears for years with Star Trek, decades with Star Trek. But this episode for me gets a 9 out of 10 because even though I mentioned those things that bothered me, when I saw those Starfleet starships, especially that one where you saw like alien versions of the crew for about a second.
Yeah.
You saw
Like
Boimler
that
looking
was
like a
some
fly,
like
and
alternate universe.
Yeah, I'm like,
exactly.
where? Yeah, I even saw. I'm like, where did that come from? Like, what?
That's not
from a
even a
practicality
callback to another
standpoint.
joke. Like,
Still-
And that's
yeah.
fine. Like, if you want, like, well,
but
okay.
it's not.
Can I do my
unless it-
ranking
I
now?
didn't
Just
mention-
because, like,
Yes,
like that-
ranking
because
and
that-
overall thoughts, please.
but that's the thing. That's what he's talking
Nah.
about. Here is exactly what I'm talking about. It's like there's okay. So as a Lower Decks episode, it's loose canon. Like, okay, that's it was an okay episode. It was a pretty good episode actually with loose canon. Nothing's taken seriously. Nothing. But if this thing is actually canon, like there's so many practicality issues in this. So I want to know if Lower Decks is canon or not. They've said it's canon. If it's canon, I'm giving it a 6 because there's so many practicalities in here, or impracticalities and all this other stuff. It's just not. It's not good. It's not. There's plot holes. There's everything. But if Lower Decks is what I consider it, like an episode of The Simpsons, and it's not, it's like loose canon, then I give it an 8. But like I don't. I'm sorry. Like this episode bugged me so much because never in my life so far have I ever wanted to know if this show was canon or not. I need to rationalize the practicalities with the impracticalities. Just because I'm like, if this is not canon, then whatever. Yeah, it was a fun episode, a fun romp, pew pews, and the race was stupid fun and all that other stuff. But if this is actually like canon, there's so many problems here that I just can't even. I've already started explaining, and it could go on forever, and I'm not going to. So anyway, take it away from me, Commodore.
Before we go to Commodore, there is an after credits scene. I just saw it just now.
Oh yeah, you guys didn't see that?
No.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Rutherford chip.
At the credit scene.
Yeah.
And Badgie.
Oh, guys, they're here.
No.
It's time for us
Badgie.
for new dating
Badgie.
for all tastes and ages.
You see, ever since I mentioned about my love for prostitution, I got all these motherfuckers coming in here and stuff like that. But anyway, let me just quickly get to some more comments here before we go into Booney. Oh, I missed that extra scene. I'll have to go back. Cara Hughes. I did think that Marina opened up a bit more to her mother. She admitted that she pushed people away. Yeah, I mean, they both admitted that there was a reason why they jumped to conclusions, regarding Marina. I mean, they explained that. So, yeah, I like that too. Other countries, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, right. Zam, Star Trek is very. It can be. I mean, it was good.
Fair USA. Yep.
It was good that they had like a French person and
I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, Chekhov was Russian in the Cold War, and he was on the bridge of the Enterprise. So we've solved it, everybody. Yep. Okay.
If anything, TOS was probably the most diverse of the lot. Because they had the Scotsman, they had the Russian, they had a Japanese American. They had an African lady. I mean, she sounded very American, but I do believe that she was supposed to be from Africa anyway. And obviously you had an alien, and then you had a couple of Americans in Spock and Kirk. And so it was probably the most diverse of the lot compared to all the other fucking crews. You know what I mean? So
nuclear vessels.
Nuclear vessels, yes.
And then Kara says, but think of Star Trek the Animated Series. I know that Roddenberry never considered this canon, but fans did, so who knows? And that's what I'm saying. Like, honestly, I don't care what. Like, honestly, this goes back to like the whole Akira Toriyama thing with Dragon Ball. I don't care what Akira Toriyama considers what is canon in Dragon Ball, because a lot of times he doesn't know what he's even written in Dragon Ball. Like with Gene Roddenberry, it's like he didn't consider it canon. I'm okay with things being canon as long as it makes sense. A lot of the stuff in Lower Decks makes okay sense. It's loose canon, so it's okay. Like maybe it's like maybe somebody reading the Cerritos's logs, and they're an unreliable narrator that they're reading. But like this episode, there are just so many issues with it. It's not even funny. Anyway.
And one more thing, because I don't want to take away from Booney here, but Ambagino's evil laugh that had me laughing so much. You know what I mean? I was just,
that's another thing. I'm just like, really?
I love a good evil laugh. Next time I do a fan film, next time I do a fan film, I'm going to do a fucking evil laugh. You know what I mean? I'm going to do one that's going to monologue for about 20 seconds. Anyway, sorry, Booney.
Overall thoughts?
I love the episode. I mean, I like the part when Winifred realized that he came up with the codes and everything, and they took all the codes and that. Of course, he made he made Badgie there, so he realized that he had a part in the Texas class starship.
Okay.
And the second thing that with all the California ships there all at once, it was great. I mean, I even teared up a little bit because they're all there to help each other.
Yeah.
I think we all can learn from that.
Dude, I about lost my shit when all those Cali classes started showing up. I'm like,
oh yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are we doing?
Different
what is happening? Is there a Cali class convention? Like, even if they would have mentioned, like, oh yeah, we're doing a Cali
camaraderie
class.
and all of that. I love that. It made me want to cry like a bitch.
Could be.
Yeah.
Right, but we all can learn from that to help each other. Right now in the world, hardly anybody helps each other. I mean, they each other spinning you instead of trying to help you. But I listened to this episode a lot, and I'm going to give it a 10 because I really liked it a lot. What threw me over to the 10 part when all the California ships showed up same time to help. There you go.
It's like the end of Star Trek Picard season 1. All the same ships start showing up to help. I mean, I get why they did it because they wanted to show the Cali class. But
yeah, I seen that.
It's like, see, I can't get on board with this. As I said, as the Lower Decks episode, it's pretty good, but within canon and practicality wise, I can't get on board. I just can't.
No, it can go either way. I mean, it's just like doing a fan films. Do you try to stay in canon? Yeah. I mean, you try to stay in canon while you're doing a fan film, but trying to buy the regular uniforms for everybody right now is totally impossible. I ran into that a lot.
Yeah, but I'm not talking. I'm talking about practicality's sake. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about. I'm not talking about canon as in canon's sake. I'm talking about
Okay.
practicality. Like, even if they would have mentioned, "Hey, we're doing a mass upgrade of the Cali classes at this at this nearby star base," so all the Cali classes just happen to be there, and I
Right.
would even accept that. It's weak, but it's at least something.
Gotcha.
At least a throwaway line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're fighting Thanos, but I need every female Avenger on this one.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
Oh, God.
that is the perfect comparison.
I like the way the boys did it. It was a lot better because like the girls get it done scene was.
I have no problem with it, but it
yeah.
makes zero sense.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, unfortunately, I have no problem with female characters and stuff like that, but unfortunately, that particular scene kind of began something, in the way we see media nowadays. But yeah,
I thought it was a
Yep.
weak way to like present like
like girl power.
Yeah, like I'm like, really? We're doing like, not that I have a problem with all the female Avengers getting shine, but it's like we have this whole like massive field of Avengers, and like just so happens, except for Spider-Man, all these female characters are here, and I'm like, we're trying to fight a war here. You're not going to care if you're all women standing on, right here. So anyway, that's a rabbit hole. I'm going to shut up now.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, the Nazi stopping scene was great. Laugh out loud. The Nazi stopping? Am I missing something?
Yeah.
No, that's
Stomp?
the
girls get it done.
in the boys.
The boys.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I mean, so yeah. Yeah, I like stuff like By the way, yeah, I've always liked stuff like Charlie's Angels and like a female group of girls getting together to do a job. I'm very much into that, all of that. Just,
Yep. Oh yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, that looking back at that scene from Avengers now, it is a bit silly, isn't it? I mean, they could.
Well, I lost my light again.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. Okay, so have you given a mark yet, Mage?
I have not. I had mixed feelings about the episode.
Here we go.
I agree with some of Cheeto's points. I mean, at least last week's plot inconsistency with the Alito showing up so quickly was explained by it being Buenamigo's plan all along, but it was predictable. We all saw it coming. I know at least me and Kara did. It was a predictable and a little derivative of an episode. They did a good job of tying everything up neatly. I mean, they even went as far as to tie up the Old Boimler thing. Old Boimler never would have yelled for everybody to shut up on the bridge and pointed out the correct plan. But there were entertaining parts, illogical nature of them all coming together aside. The assembly of the California class was still a pretty cool moment. I'm gonna give it a 7.
Fair enough. Sometimes it feels as though it's less about the heroes and more about their women when writing two roles: plot first, relationship after. Yeah. I agree.
Well,
I totally agree.
Well, I think that about wraps it up for Star Trek The Lower Decks. I'll pass it over to you, Zam. Gentlemen, thanks for having me. I had a blast hosting the stream as always. Thanks to everybody who's shown up to watch and be involved in the chat.
Good job.
We appreciate you coming here as always.
I just want to say, Mage, you've done a great job all season that you've been doing this. So just, keep it up.
Thank you very
Damn
much.
right.
Yes,
Great job. Keep it up.
I'm very
doing great.
I'm very
Love it.
happy to share
Love
my duties but I'm usually a host myself, so it's really nice just to sit back and play co-host and let somebody else take the reins. So I very much appreciate that.
I just stink as a host.
Well, I appreciate being here, and as long as the audience is enjoying it, that's all I care about. I'm here for the entertainment. You guys have a great evening. Live long and prosper.
See you later.
Take care.
Okay. We haven't finished yet.
Keep going.
We still don't go away, anyone. We've still got another show to talk about. Before we continue, let's go to some of these comments. Here we go. Ryan Gerald says,
I agree with this.
Yeah,
I forgot to bring this one up.
Yeah, everyone immediately confessing over the phone was the worst part for me. Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
does he-
yeah. Does this thing get recorded? Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they can. I'm sure everything on Starfleet comms is recorded.
Yeah, there was something extra creepy about being a Mako. I got bad vibes from him, and when he said that he was sending the reporter, my first thought was, yeah, and I like that
Everything's recorded. Yep.
The funny thing is though, like it was 10. That was Rutherford from 10 years ago when they worked on him. Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So how old is Rutherford? He must be in his 30s. Cheers, Major Rage.
Cheers.
Been fun. Oh, don't go away yet, Cara. We're still doing more. I know him. He's a nerd. Okay. So, as one door closes, another door opens. With the end of Lower Decks, we now begin Prodigy, a Star Trek show that is mainly catered for kids, but it is Star Trek nevertheless, and we are here to watch it. Now, to be honest with you, this is the beginning of the mid-season, and I find that really stupid because season 1 began all the way back in January, and it's now October. It almost feels like this should be fucking season 2, especially the way season 1 ended when we saw the real Admiral Janeway, searching for the protostar in Chakotay. No, I haven't. Just not sure about Prodigy. It's all right. It's different. And I think the good thing about Star Trek nowadays is the variety. Like, we have traditional Star Trek in shows like Prodigy and Discovery. No, not Prodigy. In shows like Discovery and Strange New Worlds. And then we have like maybe sort of like character-based Star Trek in Picard. And then we have fun Star Trek in Lower Decks, and we have children's Star Trek in Prodigy. I mean, it's a nice smorgasbord of different types of Star Trek, and I very much appreciate that. It's good that we have a variety. Is the spice of life. So this episode, I apologize. The name of it I forgot to write down.
Asylum.
Asylum. Okay, this is episode 11 of season 1. Why, as I said earlier, it's not season 2. I'll never understand. But this episode begins with the protostar crew trying to save an alien whale from alien mermen. Now, the whale is part of an ecosystem and it needs to live. And this is something I'm very glad they addressed, because there is a lot of animals that sometimes get hunted, and they're quite rare and as well, because of the way we are not necessarily hunting these animals, but changing our environment. And these animals are fundamental to the ecosystems of that environment. And we as humans, we are culprits of destroying our environment, destroying our own ecosystem, destroying animals that live here, but because we want their land or whatever, they end up just being extinct. And so stuff like this hit home for me. I very much appreciated it. Anyway, they need to stop these mermen from killing this space whale without actually being discovered by the mermen, but because this is a pre-warp civilization, so they can't break the type
Actually,
directive.
Can I interject? I'm sorry, bud. So them interjecting themselves and them taking that whale is violating the Prime Directive, because the Prime Directive states that Starfleet cannot, until they are a warp-faring race, cannot interfere with the natural progression of a species. If that species is supposed to die out, that species of whale is supposed to die out.
Yeah, but they're technically not Starfleet, are they?
No. I know, but what about Janeway? That was my point. I knew you were going to bring that up about, they're not technically Starfleet. Yeah, I know.
I agree
with
that.
What about
but
Janeway? She seemed to be very
a
on board
hologram
with this.
a hologram that could be easily swayed.
Hmm.
Remember she has to follow she's not in charge. She's just there to advise.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but no, I was sitting there going, and no, because even Janeway said you very nearly broke the Prime Directive. That's verbatim what she said, and I'm like, no, they broke the Prime Directive. Like, there's no.
Well, this is not the first time that Starfleet has saved whales, have they? You know what I mean? So,
but it was on their own planet.
but they still did it when Earth was not a warp civilization. So in a way,
That's
that was
true.
breaking the Prime Directive in its own
technically,
sense.
Kirk did it on his own. He didn't. I don't think he got sanctioned from Starfleet to do it. But they kind of
He
looked the
saved
other
the
way.
fucking world.
I know. Look,
Yeah.
I understand, but we're talking about no time travel. We're talking about on a not spacefaring civilization that, and we're not even talking about a sentient being here. You know what I mean? Like, we're the sentient beings are hunting these things, but if they're supposed to be hunted to extinction, that's on them. As I said, it's a small plot point, but that's another plot hole that I got today that I'm like, God, everyone's gonna hate me today because I'm gonna be the freaking
The Karen.
yeah. I'm gonna be the Trek Karen today. I mean,
actually, Karen's the wrong terminology.
Yeah.
The point, the
Karen.
context of the job's worth. But if you could deal with the comments as I'm doing this, Cheeto. But whilst all of this is happening, Gwen starts getting flashbacks. Because if you remember, she kind of lost her true self to a degree after seeing Zero's true form. So yeah. So Gwen's trying to get her memory back as well in this episode. The Protostar arrives at Starfleet space station at the far end of the Alpha Quadrant. The space station has one occupant called Lieutenant Artis Franks. Do you recognize the alien species that he was?
Yeah.
Which one?
The guy.
I don't remember.
On the
he was
station.
Denobulan. I thought he looked Denobulan. Dr. Phlox from Star Trek Enterprise.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure he was Denobulan though.
Yes, very much why I support the Pangolin project. Sorry, I'll get off my soapbox. Fair enough. Personally, leaving somebody on their own on a star base is the most stupidest thing you could do. And even though if you might have a holodeck to keep him occupied, it's still wrong. They shouldn't be doing stuff like that, in my opinion. Anyway, he's this particular guy, Lieutenant Franks. He's a little bit off the wall because he's been alone for a long time. He gets kind of overwhelmed when he finds out that the Protostar crew are not technically Starfleet, even though they're dressed up like Starfleet. But they want to be Starfleet.
Right.
And they kind of borrow the Protostar. Anyway, after taking all of this information in, he scans the crew. He gets to know all their species, but Gwyn is basically is an unidentified species.
Yep.
And Dahl is a special one that the Starfleet Command wants him immediately. So there's two things there. We have an unidentified one in Gwen, but then again, I think Gwen is a clone of her father anyway. And obviously, Dahl is a special one as well. I mean, Starfleet are desperate to see him. To the subplot here, which is a very tiny one, we see a holodeck simulation of Captain Chakotay about to do his maiden voyage to the Delta Quadrant with a send-off from Vice Admiral Janeway. This is obviously using the Protostar as well, as we famously see that every time a ship takes its maiden voyage, a champagne bottle gets flown into space. Doesn't get frozen or anything by being in space. It must be a special champagne bottle, and then obviously it gets smashed on the hull of the ship. Anyway, Janeway studies this particular moment for clues and what happened to her old friend. Zero helps Gwen with her memory loss, and puts her in a chamber in the space station, which has an advanced medical bay. And then an entity in the Protostar, looking like a doomsday thing from the Umbrella Academy, activates, saying it is the weapon. We hear the Diviner's voice. The entity starts fucking with the space station, making it destroy itself and drowning Gwen in her medical chamber. The crew try to save Gwen, but Gwen is actually the person who saves herself by using a special magical bracelet. Let's see some of the comments here. Helping to save Aquaform with reminiscence of Voyager's home and saving the whale. I was also thinking to myself of the at the beginning of, I think was it Star Trek Into Darkness when they dealt with that tribe as well.
Yeah. I didn't know if you wanted me to stop for every comment, or I just brought them up on the screen.
No problem. They played the Kelvinic music during the Aquaphon beam out.
They did.
Okay, fair enough.
It was very Kelvin-esque.
They're going to put in Dal in the Vivarium then. I love that. I love this version of Starfleet. And Daniel, I did notice that.
I was telling Daniel that I
noticed. Sorry, I
thought
that was blocked for a second for some reason. Okay. Anyway. Anyway, the prototype transporters don't work, and everyone has to escape. But Frank takes the one and only escape pod. So I think that's him. He's done. Dal suggests getting into spacesuits and doing a space jump to the protostar. The whole base is blowing up around them, and then Rock has to quickly make a calculation. They jump but miss the protostar by a few inches, but luckily Janeway catches them with a tractor beam. Nice touch there.
Well, but I thought this was pretty stupid too, because it's like they're jumping out into space and like they're okay. I'm like, okay, they're going off and they're worried about, flying past the protostar. I'm like, what's stopping the protostar from catching them? Like maneuvering to catch them.
I was thinking that too. Like they could just spin it. Janeway could just spin it around and try to catch them
again.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, what are we worried about here? I mean,
the transporter's working. Damn it! You know what I mean? Yeah.
I mean, I even thought about the tractor.
Yeah, really.
I'm like, well, just use the tractor beam. Like,
just going back to the space wells as well. Like when they transported the space well onto the ship, they said that they're at a different part of the planet now, which would be a good place to release the space well. But they don't need to maneuver to a different part of the planet. They could fucking transport it there anyway.
Transporter range would be. Transporter range is, I mean, in space,
hundreds of miles.
Yeah, like with transporter range, it's pretty vast from like space to planet, all across the planet. But like, like in space, it's obviously vast.
Simon Pegg Scotty, he fucking did that. He gave that techno mumbo jumbo.
Oh, that
how were you able to
transwarp or what is it?
I don't know, but he was able to warp onto a ship that was moving from their planet.
It was like transwarp transporting or something like that.
Yeah,
transwarp bubble maybe.
No, Simon Pegg Scotty invented some kind of transporting like literally the guy beamed like a Khan and Into Darkness beamed from Earth all the way out to the Klingon homeworld of Kronos. I'm like, okay, like you're really pushing it here. But that's Kelvin verse. But I mean,
but it worked.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah. Okay. I thought I get it now. Imagine if Dal were a Tuvix type situation and Chakotay is one of them, and that compromised Dal. Seeing the real Janeway wrestle with that same problem years later would be quite interesting. Oh god, that would be weird. You know what I mean? But this person's a kid as well. Like, Tuvix was not a child when he was like similar ages to the people that he merged with. Chakotay would have to merge with a baby or something like that to get someone like Dal who's like 15 or 16 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, just so you know, there is a theory, just to quickly sidetrack to Star Wars Andor, there's a theory that Deirdre is the sister of Andor.
Who is?
Deirdre, the blonde lady in the Empire. That because he was looking for his sister.
Yeah, but sister. Like she doesn't look. I mean, I'm trying to remember what the sister looked like in the beginning.
Yeah, but she's got black hair, but Deirdre's hair is not naturally blonde. It's bleached because her eyebrows are black. Anyway,
they don't really look like siblings, but I mean, it is the Star Wars universe, so it doesn't need to make much sense. Anyway, back on track.
Anyway, Janeway kind of wonders what could have caused the devastation, and the phrase from the Diviner, "It is a weapon," echoes in Gwyn's mind, finally triggering all of her memories. Admiral Janeway, then we cut to Admiral Janeway, and she's looking for Chakotay, and she arrives at the Diviner's mining ship. sees him floating unconscious, but he's still alive. She wants answers from him, and we'll see how that pans out next week. Episode done. Very quick. So
interesting.
It was good to get back with the Protostar and their crew. This was continuing where we last left off. We are getting a bit of subplot now with other Starfleet characters, mainly the real Janeway looking for Chakotay as well. It was Robert Beltran who played Chakotay as well. So Kate Mulgrew and Robert Beltran are back voicing these particular characters, the characters that they made famous. How did you find it, Cheetah?
Are we marking it?
Well, just give me your interpretations of this episode as well as if you want to mark it as well. You can give me that.
I'll give it a 6. For a Prodigy episode, it was okay. The whole jumping out of the ship and trying to get caught, and I don't know. I mean, I kind of figured the Protostar was going to have some kind of virus on it, just because of the way that they talked about it. Like, because the diviners said that he wanted to give that ship back to Starfleet because it's a weapon. I'm like, oh, okay, so there's a virus on board. And that's exactly what it was. Now, the question is, does that virus spread throughout all of the Federation when it makes its first connection with Starfleet? Or does it have to go to each place and do that? Like, so every place they stop, something crazy is going to happen.
That's interesting.
Yeah, like that's kind of where I saw it going with this, even in the first half of the season. When
isn't the power source that fucking red thing? Oh.
The Protostar?
In the Protostar, was that the power source?
Yeah, the power source is a Protostar. It's called a Protostar.
Yeah, but that red thing was the thing that was evil and made
that red thing.
The space station blow itself up.
Yeah, I think that's like the artificial
diviner.
No, I think it's whatever the virus is that's downloaded.
Is it Dreadnought? Maybe that that General Grievous character.
Maybe
I don't know, because there's so many months of being there's such a long gap between both shows, and they kind of spread out the first show a little bit as well. Like they gave us 4 episodes, and then they gave a break for about a month, which was fucking ridiculous.
Well, they gave us 5 episodes, and they gave us another 5 episodes. I thought.
Yeah, but so 4 or 5 episodes, then they gave us a break.
Yeah.
Which was really stupid. But it was hard to make out what was what. As a canon Star Trek show, I far more appreciate Prodigy and Lower Decks at present. On those merits, I give this episode a 7. If Starfleet is continually changing, upgrading, then every piece of equipment that's connected to the corrupted data will transfer the virus. That's what I thought anyway. Yeah, this Diviner definitely seems like he's got He's pissed off with Starfleet in a particular way, and he definitely feels like he wants to come after them. And using the Protostar was probably his Trojan horse, I believe. But
Trojan horse is a perfect way to explain what I was thinking.
Yeah, but we'll see. Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see how. Now he hasn't got that, but now with Janeway obviously finding the Diviner's body, and he's still alive. We'll see how that pans out. I want to know what's going through Gwen's mind now that she's got all her memories back as well. Boone, what are you going to give this episode? And how do you find it, by the way? How did you feel about this episode?
It was an interesting episode. You guys have the advantage. I listened to it for a few hours, but you guys actually seen it, so just listening to it, I did see some fish people now and then when I was trying to get to work in that, and I'm like, boy, they're in the water? Interesting. Then I heard Vice Admiral Janeway on there, and of course they took the stolen ship to Starbase, and the guy scanned everybody, and that was pretty interesting stuff. Of course, that one kid, he goes, they're not going to know what I am, but evidently he's got to report to Starfleet so they can tell him, either they're going to tell him or something about who he is. So
yeah,
if you're going to mark it, I'll go with Cheeto. I'll go with 6. I lost light again.
I mean, thinking outside of what Daniel thought, considered, because I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but it makes you wonder why he is a top priority for Starfleet and how that will come into
Yeah,
play.
yeah.
You know,
It's
yeah,
just something about him that they want him to report to Starfleet, and because he said that a lot of people scanned him, but they couldn't tell him what he was.
I agree.
So
I mean, by the way,
it's interesting. Damn
that
lights.
base was like the Star Base 80 of Prodigy. You know, it felt. I mean, it was obviously a lot cleaner,
Yeah,
but you know, it was in the arse end of nowhere. But
yeah.
yeah, I would hate to have it. You know, if I was working for Starfleet and that's the job they gave me, I'd be pissed. You know what I mean? Like, you know, isolate me from the fucking world. You ridiculous university, ridiculous. But now they are in the alpha quadrant now, aren't they? On the cusp of it, like they're in between the
Beta
alpha and the
quadrant.
delta quadrant. Oh, are they?
The delta
Okay.
quadrant runs into the beta quadrant. The alpha quadrant's actually on the other side, but the Earth and the solar system are what are in the exact center of the alpha and beta quadrant, like the line from the center of the universe down to the edge.
Okay.
Through the solar system is the border between the beta quadrant and the alpha quadrant.
So but yeah, they've come across their first Starfleet base, which means that at least they're going in the right direction. You know, I'm sure they'll come across more Starfleet as well. I mean, with Janeway discovering the Diviner as well, it won't be long until Janeway catches up with them. What ship does she have, by the way?
The Dauntless.
Okay, what sort of ship is that?
Dauntless class.
Fair enough.
It's okay. So in an episode of Voyager, it's the ship that the one guy's made. Like it was something that was supposed to be like from the Federation, like not the Equinox, but it was the USS Dauntless. It was supposed they found it abandoned. They were supposed to be able to use it to get home faster. And so apparently Janeway just liked the design and made her own version of the Dauntless, because the actual Dauntless, if I remember right, and Daniel Vance will have to correct me on this, or Kara, there was something up with the Dauntless and they couldn't use it. Like there was something about it that they just couldn't, or John Noble driver. But anyway,
Yep.
but yeah, like there was some kind of
from
they couldn't use the Dauntless, and so but the race that was trying to give it to them like tricked them, because the race said, "Hey, I found this ship and it's yours." But and then they claimed that they found it and the Federation must have sent it so that Voyager could transfer the crew to the Dauntless and get home faster. I think it had slipstream drive, something
right.
Like that. I don't remember.
Right.
I'm trying to remember what it had, but
yes, it did have a slipstream drive, but it was a trick to get them to get in a ship to go to the Borg, because they couldn't get it. They probably, I think it was set up that if they got in the ship, they're going to be over and be Borg meat, because that guy that brought in the ship was pissed off because the Borg wiped out his whole family, civilization. It's been a while.
No, but I think you're right, Boone. The more you talk,
Yeah.
the more you're saying that, the more it's coming back to me. But yeah,
Yes.
Dauntless is a pretty cool looking ship. So I'm
it was neat. Yeah.
I'm figuring Janeway, like, just when she got back to the Alpha Quadrant, she's like, you know what? I'm gonna make my own Dauntless, and then she made her own like cool looking Dauntless ship.
Hell yeah!
I just want to respond here to Kara.
That's nice. Yeah, it's nice.
So it probably doesn't really seem to be for children. It's very much more of an adult show. When I don't know how old you are, Kara, but I'm 45, and when I was a kid, like the kid stuff when I watched was quite dark. You know, it almost had like an adult orientation to it to a degree. Now I do think some of the kid stuff today is a lot more bubblegum, and it doesn't have that same sort of darkness to it. Like, for instance, you guys seen the Goonies?
Mm-hmm.
I love using the Goonies. The Goonies is one of my favorite example. They made a comical scene where Chunk is inside a bloody fridge with a dead body, and they played that for laughs. This child is in with a dead body inside a fridge, you know. So, and it is absolutely hilarious, you know. And it is a hilarious scene. But if they did that nowadays, you know, the cancel culture police would be all over that. So, yeah. So
big time.
exactly. So like the way children's programming is done nowadays is it's a lot different. If anything, they like to scare kids back then, not like they do now. So in a way, Prodigy, to a degree, having some sort of adult themes, I think is a good thing. Kids don't stay kids forever, and learning some adult themes, is a very good thing in the development. It was created by a man who the Borg took his planet as a result of the Voyager's deal with them. It was
Yes.
a Trojan horse, he says itself. And hey, don't ask me. It was TOS, TNG, DS9 Void was okay, but never held my interest in quite the same way. Oh god, I feel like I'm the only Voyager fan here. Anyway, Booney, you gave it a 6, yeah, and you gave it a 6 as well. I'm gonna give this
Give it
episode a 7.
6.
I'm gonna give this episode a 7. It was a very good episode.
There
Hello,
you go.
William Jackson.
There you
Welcome
go.
to the stream. I'm gonna personally give Lower
William
Decks
Jackson.
episode
What's up?
a 7. I thought it was a very good episode to get me back into the swing of things. I did like the fact that we got some sort of Star Trekky, Starfleet feels regarding saving an
Yep.
ecosystem, even though it's not necessarily something they should be doing regarding the Prime Directive. They still did it because it's still the right thing to do. And then we got the whole thing regarding Gwen and her memories, which I'm glad that she got back immediately. So we're not prolonging that, more than we have to. And the fact that now that they've met Starfleet as well, so things are culminating to a degree. If anything, they're not going to be like just adventuring around the Delta Quadrant or whatever. Now they're in the Beta Quadrant and all of that. It's going to be it's going to be really cool.
Okay, so Zam, I don't know if you can see here, but I was just going to show you really quick.
Interesting.
So so you see like the Beta Quadrant is in the bottom right quadrant. The Alpha Quadrant's the bottom left quadrant.
Okay.
Right there in the middle, that yellow dot is Earth. And so you see that yellow dot way up there in the upper right quadrant. That's the Delta Quadrant. That's where Voyager came out of. That's where the Ocampa are. But what they're basically saying is that the closest Federation relay station, is way, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where they're saying that they're at, because there's just a lot. I don't know. Like, there's a lot in between there. So I don't know if they're like towards the center of the galaxy, if they're towards the upper right hand side of the Beta Quadrant, and there's just Federation communications out there somewhere. But anyway, that's the star. That's the and then the top left is the Gamma Quadrant, where the Dominion is. So I mean, you can kind of see where that this is the quadrant map. So
anyway. Cara Hughes says, I'm a few years older than you, but I did 20 years in the Middle East.
I like it.
And they showed 2S on the loop, but didn't show an episode of Prison Circus, for example. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. And the funny thing with the Middle East, prior to the 1977 Islamic Revolution, that part of the world was extremely progressive, and then Islam came along, and somebody was an ex-Muslim. I can definitely vouch for it not being that progressive of a religion, but it took that country back to the fucking dark ages. And if you look at pictures of Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq in the 70s, it's such a fucking progressive part of the world. Women were not covered up head to toe. They wore mini skirts and shit like that. They had university schools. They were studying the sciences as well. Like a lot of historically places like Constantinople and places like Baghdad, a lot of the development was coming from those parts of the world historically. But then, unfortunately, a primitive way of life took over, and now the country is very primitive. But it's very good to see Iran going for a revolution right now after that girl was killed for a little bit of her hair coming out of her hijab. She got killed for that, and all the women in fucking Iran are now protesting, and it's been going on for over a month. So I wish them the best of fucking luck. That country needs to fucking progress, not regress.
Wow.
Sorry for getting all political. I do apologize. Hey,
I mean, there's never been any politics. There's never been any politics in our Star Trek ever. I mean, politics is never a factor in Star Trek at all.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like people, even like William Shatner once, and this is why I have an issue with him. Like he actually said, like, when did Star Trek get so woke? And I'm thinking to myself, have you Like, you've been in Star Trek. What are you on about? That famous episode of the people with the black and white faces, which was basically about racism.
Yeah, that was a crazy episode.
Yeah. Star Trek has
Yep.
always been about these particular issues,
Eh.
always. And that's what makes it so endearing and so popular. Like the movies went down with all the action, and you get the odd action scenes in the odd episode or two, but a lot of it was very political. It was very political, very ethical as well, moral dilemmas, all of these sort of things. That's what made Star Trek so fucking fantastic. Yeah. So it's crazy. So when people say, when Voyager came out, so not Voyager, when Discovery came out, and they were calling Star Trek woke because of like female like main characters, and the only white man happened to be gay, and then, so like all the neckbeards were getting pissed off like a bunch of dickheads.
Fuck them. I don't. I
like I know. Oh yeah, Bahrain is linked to the center of the trade and worship, thought to be the Garden of Eden. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay, so yeah, we're back now on the Star Trek train. Unfortunately, Lower Decks is over, but the baton has been passed on to Prodigy. We've given our marks regarding it. Let us know what you guys think of this particular episode. We thought it was just above average, not amazing, but then again, we're just happy that we are getting some bit of Star Trek. Do you know when the next proper Star Trek is going to be on, like the character piece of Picard? Or
I mean, Picard's coming out in February. I don't know. I don't think there's anything coming out before that. I think there might be a break in Star Trek after Prodigy is over. I think Prodigy's doing the second half of their season though. I think they're doing 10 episodes
back
now
back.
in a row. Yeah, like how like the first the first 5 and the second 5, they're not doing that this time. They're doing all 10 episodes for the back half of the first season now, even though it should be season 2 in my opinion, but whatever.
Star Trek was definitely pushing boundaries. It was designed to make you think it hasn't become work, it's been work. Yeah, people hate to think, what I mean? People get really offended. How dare they bring real life issues into my programming? Like, how dare you? Don't you want, some people were saying how great Black Adam was. They're saying it's not woke, but it was doing it. But Black Adam was one of the parts of the story was to do with like their lands being taken over by foreign entities because of their because of the metal that they had in that country and stuff like that. That in a way is woke politics as well, but they're fine with that. I mean, it's just weird, like it's such a stupid thing, the term woke. I hate the word. Zaman, for someone who was in the series, not to recognize how groundbreaking it was, defies the Well, William Shatner's always been a dickhead.
Yeah,
always.
I've never liked Shatner. I don't like Kirk as a character, and I've never liked Bill Shatner. I don't know.
I like Kirk. I like I like the fact that he was a very conflicted character. Like, I remember in Star Trek 6 when they were trying to make peace treaties with the Klingons, and they were dying out, and he goes, "Let them die," because he
let them die
against them and stuff like that.
And to rebuttal myself a little bit, I mean, yes, that is my favorite TOS Star Trek movie is 6. So I will give you that in that movie, Kirk was written really well. Like, that was a good Kirk right there. I don't think, honestly, like in Wrath of Khan, I didn't care much for Kirk. I thought Spock was better. The search for Spock, he was okay, but 6 is really, in my opinion, where Kirk was at his best, and honestly, that's really the only time I've ever really liked him.
But unfortunately, Bill Shatner, he's he famously never got along with his co-stars. I think the only person he did get along with Leonard Nimoy, but even then, prior to Leonard Nimoy dying, they had a falling out, and he actually.
I don't think Leonard Nimoy technically liked him either. I think that Bill Shatner respected Nimoy just because Bill Shatner knew that Nimoy was just as popular as he was as Spock as he was as Kirk. So I think there was a mutual respect.
He was more popular than Kirk was.
Maybe.
And like I heard like James Doohan never liked him at all.
Yeah.
And same with
he's good.
with
Love Scotty.
God, with George Takei as well.
No, they never. Him and Kirk never, or him and Shatner never got along.
Yeah, like they you know, like, you know, he never got invited to his wedding. You know, like somebody you've known since the 60s. You know, and like you get married in the 2000s and you don't even get invited to the wedding. You know, like it's incredible. So it just kind of, and I've seen William Shatner's character in certain interviews and stuff like that. There is a bit of a tetchiness to him. He's, you know, like when he was watching his impersonators for Captain Kirk, you know, he could see how arrogant
I seen that
was.
one.
You saw how arrogant he came across. Like he, like, you know, like he wasn't appreciative.
I don't sound like that.
He couldn't even laugh at himself.
Yeah,
I mean, he couldn't laugh at himself. You know, like,
Yeah.
you know, impersonation is one of the biggest forms of flattery you know, you could get, and he couldn't even do that. So it kind of shows you where he is. So yeah, I mean, the only good thing recently to come out from his life is that, you know, Captain Kirk went to space. Unfortunately, it was with Jeff Bezos, but still, he went to space.
I wish they would have left him up there.
Yeah, fair enough. But, Shatner could be a fool. I could use another term.
Oh man!
I'll try to be polite. He tended to isolate himself with two main cast members, Kelly and Nimoy. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, DeForest Kelly was like an old-fashioned type of guy as well, but in a way, he got a bit pissed off with Star Trek because he was only ever really known for playing Bones, but he wanted to be more than that. But sometimes you know, as an actor, when you're associated with a particular character, that's gold. That's gold. That's work for life. You know what I mean? A lot of these actors, like they never necessarily did other things too much. But as long as they were associated with a particular franchise, they were always going to get work and always be remembered. You know, I agree. I think he had a bigger following as well.
Talking about Spock,
as well as George, and had a great one as well. Yeah, I like George Takei a lot.
I like George Takei too.
Plus, he went to Nemo too.
He's cool. I like him.
When Nemo was dying and off, and the only one was the bastard forgave me.
I don't even think Shatner liked Shatner. I mean, honestly,
probably did.
All right, boys. I think we need to wrap this here.
Yeah, no problem. All right then, fellas, we are done here. We're going to be back tomorrow. From yesterday was Star Wars, and we went to Star Trek, and now we're going back to Star Wars tomorrow. We're going to be talking about Tales of the Jedi. Now, this is a show that's currently on Disney Plus. I highly recommend watching it. It's very, very good. We're going to be basically running through all 6 episodes, talking about them very briefly. No real play-by-play, just basically giving our feelings of the show. Please join us for that tomorrow. As it's a one-off special, I do recommend to watch it. It's on Disney Plus. The episodes are very short, like 15 minutes long, and there's 6 of them, so you can get through all of that reasonably quickly.
And on top of that, you have I don't think there's really intros. There's an intro in the first one, but there's credits on each of them. So you're looking at like 10-ish minutes per episode. So you're looking at maybe watching for an hour and 15 minutes. So I mean I'm gonna leave. Some people are gonna be surprised what I think about it tomorrow, but I also recommend watching it.
TJ Hook, I never saw that shit. I always watch
TJ.
I'd watch the intro and stuff like that, but I just couldn't.
That was good.
I couldn't take Shatner seriously in a fucking police uniform. LLAAPO.
Live long and prosper.
Oh yes. Sorry, I'm always bad with those sort of things. Right, Daniel, and cheers. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll definitely see you tomorrow, Daniel Vance, for Tales of the Jedi. Fair enough. Catch you next week if possible. A bit busy, still deciding whether to do. Oh God, is this a
bit busy, huh? Yep.
No.
Peace. Nanu Ram. I have no idea what that is.
Peace.
Nanu.
And as we sign off, let me just always say, as I always say, don't forget to like, share, subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care, bye-bye, and may the Force be with you.